My name is Andrew Vasco, and I am the Associate Provost of Transdisciplinary Studies here at Claremont Graduate University. And it is my pleasure to welcome you here today to our Carrying the Flame event, the presidential installation of Dr. Len Jessup, 12th president of CGU. And we are celebrating CGU's past, present, and future. To begin, I'd first like to introduce Associate Professor of Cultural Studies and History, Josh Goode, to share CGU in its own words.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So this is what happens when you have a historian as the first one up. I apologize for the opening sentence. Don't panic. On October 14th, 1925, thank you for that, the charter for the Claremont colleges, as Claremont Graduate University, CGU, was first known, was issued in Sacramento by the Secretary of State of California. Just 2 years later, James Arnold Blaisdell, the architect of the Claremont Plan, this consortium of colleges, and the first president of CGU, was already invoking the past to be the guide that would drive this new consortium forward. In a letter to Harvey Mudd in 1927, Blaisdell wrote, "It seems to me that we must build our future primarily out of the past, out of the confidence we have established, and out of the people whose lives have been interwoven into our history." Today, we will follow Blaisdell's injunction as we install a new president and inaugurate a new moment at CGU. And while we look forward, or we look to the future today to carry the flame forward, we discover that by looking at the past, as in the scroll of images we just saw, we see a tether to moments both far away and some closer by. And in that effort to see the lives and ideas interwoven into our past, what stands out the most, what is most surprising, and hopefully most reassuring, is that the traits that we at CGU continue to pride ourselves in, that I know were attractive to Len Jessup when he arrived here, have been essential traits of CGU from its very beginning. A look at the past reveals a DNA in CGU, present since the beginning, ideas and principles that have always defined us. And I thought I would prove it to you by reading a few comments from CGU's past, CGU in its own words, since its founding by Blaisdell in 1925. For example, we want to be world-facing. For Blaisdell wanted a graduate school that was connected to the world, a university that was dedicated to solving nettlesome social problems. As Blaisdell himself enjoined students in a convocation address in 1947, 12 years after his retirement, he said, "All of you will inevitably participate in time's greatest debate, the making of a better world." In 1943, in the midst of World War II, the graduation speaker also, in his graduation speech, asked the students, "To what ends is graduate training?" A question that I imagine many of the graduates were asking themselves. And he wrote pretty high-mindedly. He wrote, or he said, "The school is a reflection of ourselves, and the school does not operate in a closed room. Students live and study in a world, and the way to justice, to truth, and to decent, informed living and genuine democracy among the peoples of the earth will be cleared by those who teach." Okay, so we value being socially engaged to bringing university research into the world. Those of you familiar with our CGU mottos over the past 2 decades will recognize how the links our approach has to the past. But how do we do it? Today, we'd say by teaching within and across disciplinary boundaries. And lo and behold, there in the record is an interest in interdisciplinarity from a long time ago. Russell Story, the 3rd president of CGU, Claremont Colleges at the time, spoke often of the need, especially in the mid-1930s, to teach teachers who are seeking a specific credential or a specific field of study, to teach them broadly in the liberal arts so that they weren't just trained in one thing, to teach across fields. In 1940, Edwin Embry, then president of the Julius Rosenwald Fund, a foundation devoted to bringing primary school education to the poorest, most neglected parts of the country, lauded the graduate school in his own speech to graduates. And what he liked was our crossing of disciplines. He wrote, or he said, "I should like to see Claremont make a frontal attack on the central question of today, how diverse peoples may live together happily and successfully in a rapidly shrinking world. The solution of this vital problem involves many kinds of study, many approaches, which, for the convenience of the academic schedule, we often think of as separate disciplines. But the unity of the problem and the directness of the objective call for cohesion and interplay among these subjects." From the CGU president in 1966, Louis Benezet, he said, "Yet our responsibility for education in ideas and in orientation to society has not really changed. We must find out how to teach this to students over a broader intellectual range. And we must find out how to encourage professors to develop a fondness for this kind of inquiry and for the type of imaginative teaching that it implies." And lastly, with apologies for my self-centeredness showcasing the historians, from the history faculty in 1975, seemingly answering Benezet's call from 9 years earlier, writing in their annual report to the dean, the faculty explained the work the department had done to redesign its curriculum in that year. They wrote, "From the beginning, we have sought to stimulate students to design their own programs and to seek out the methods they find most promising in furthering their personal aims and professional ambitions. Our principal objective centers on experimenting toward developing true interdisciplinary education on the graduate level and on gearing our studies toward training students as individuals with their own unique interests and talents." And there, that last little bit, another theme, a desire to be student-centered, to meet students where they are in their lives, intellectually, socially, to design a heavily individualized curriculum. From Malcolm Douglas, a longtime faculty member here at CGU, from 1954 to 1999, and the son of the graduate school's first full-time faculty member, Aubrey Douglas. He summed up Blaisdell's vision and CGU's mission as he had seen it in his career here. He wrote, "Here would stand enshrined the idea of the individual as the locus and reason for being of rigorous graduate study. The student exploring a multidisciplinary world with interdisciplinary tools and questions, engaging in a continuous conversation with faculty, personally involved in her or his intellectual and social life." So, like the photos that we saw earlier, history is like the buildings that surround us, anchors that bind us to this place. But, as the words of those from the past remind us, it is also a tailwind, impelling us forward with the assurance that we've been doing something and doing it well through the past almost 100 years. Thank you. And now I'd like to welcome to the stage Tim Curley, the chair of CGU's Board of Trustees.
Good afternoon. I am Tim Curley, Chair of the Board of Trustees of Claremont Graduate University. And on behalf of the entire University Board, it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to this special celebration of CGU and the installation of our 12th president, Len Jessup. Dr. Len Jessup. I'm going to get informal later, Len. My introduction to Claremont Graduate University came via the writing and teachings of Peter Drucker. His unflagging optimism in the human spirit, combined with his insight to put people ahead of profits, really is what brought me to this campus. And all of you who have had an opportunity to speak with President Jessup know he too is an unflagging optimist, tempered with years of higher education experience. That's the humor in the speech right there, folks. All right. I would like to acknowledge some of the guests who are in the audience today. Members of our University Board of Trustees, thank you for joining us today. And former CGU presidents Deborah Freund and Joseph Huff are here with us today. the presidents of the Claremont colleges and from universities in surrounding communities. From Pomona College, Gabriella Starr. From Claremont McKenna, Hiram Chodosh. From Harvey Mudd, Marie Clawway is with us today. In addition, from Scripps, Laura Teeden is with us. And from Keck, Dr. Sheldon Schuster is with us. From Pitzer, Melvin Oliver. And from the Claremont colleges, Stieg Landskog. From the University of Laverne, Devorah Lieberman. And from Claremont Lincoln University, Eileen Aranda. From Western University Health Sciences, Daniel Wilson. And from Mount St. Mary's University, Jacqueline Dowd. Glad you're here, Jackie. From the city of Claremont, we are pleased to have with us Mayor Opani Nasiale and Mayor Pro Tem Corey Kalakai. City Manager Tara Schultz is also with us today, thank you, and City Council candidate Ed Reese, along with incoming City Council member Jennifer Stark. We've also invited distinguished speakers, including members of our alumni community, to speak about our university's heritage and our future. In today's program, Dr. Jessup writes that the work of our university is a collective effort. There may be a single light, as our motto reminds us, but many flames contribute to the brightness. So thank you for joining us for this event. Thanks to all of you who every day, carry the flame on behalf of CGU. And now it is my pleasure to turn the podium over to Andrew Vasco, our Master of Ceremonies. Andy?
Thank you. I'd like to continue by introducing our long list of distinguished speakers today by first introducing Dr. Gloria Willingham-Toure. Dr. Gloria Willingham-Toure received her PhD from the School of Educational Studies in 1996, and her daughter, Dr. Jeanne Newton, received her PhD in the School of Educational Studies in 2017, graduating from CGU 21 years apart. By some, they have been considered non-traditional students. Here is how Dr. Willingham-Toure is non-traditional. When she enrolled in CGU in 1991, she was already the first African-American chief of nursing education and research in one of the largest and most complex VA facilities in the country. She was a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserves, had successfully raised 3 children as a divorced woman, worked full-time while earning a bachelor's and master's degree, and also served on numerous community-based organizations and influential boards. And that's not enough. Earlier in her life, Dr. Gloria Willingham-Toure had been active in the civil rights movement, selected as one of the Black students to enroll in the newly desegregated Little Rock Central High School in the 1960s, where she learned the importance of institutions seeing beyond what they had deemed a traditional student, those traditions being limited to a world seen only from the inside of institutional walls, inattentive to the rich traditions Gloria and other non-traditional students like her carried with them. It has been her mission to connect those persons deemed non-traditional to themselves, to their communities, and to the so-called traditional mainstream as founder of the Village Projects Initiatives of AFRIM Global Organization Incorporated. She has adopted the mantra, "Lift as we climb," to inspire forward movement, a mantra shaped by her experiences at CGU. It is now my pleasure to ask Dr. Gloria Willingham-Toure to share, in her words, that inspiration.
"27 years ago, I drove onto this beautiful campus with only one goal in mind, and that goal was to be admitted to the PhD program. Now, I made that decision knowing that I had already received that dreaded notice that said I had not been accepted for admission. I walked into Harper Hall, where I was greeted warmly by Ethel Rogers, and I told her that I was here to ask for reconsideration. She gently explained to me that I would need to wait on the next admission cycle because all admission decisions had already been made. I could feel tears welling up from deep inside me. The word wait was all too common to me. I had heard that word every step of my journey to that point, and I told her that this was the time and this was the place, and I had to do it now. She asked me ever so gently, Gloria, what is so important about now? Why can't you wait until next year? And with that question, something got a hold of me. And I began to tell her my story. I told her that I have trusted these feelings within me all my life. And my feelings about the right time and the right place had served me well. I told her that I knew deep down inside me that if I didn't do it now, I might never have this chance again. Now, I could tell by the look on her face she was having some second thoughts here now. But somehow, through all of that, I could also tell that she understood what I was feeling. So she summoned Dr. David Drew, who was a member of the admissions team. And I told him my story, adding even more details now. I shared with him the story of my experiences as a Black student at Little Rock Central High School and about the book that documented those experiences, just in case he didn't believe me. I told him that I learned in that school how to complete work on my own under circumstances that he couldn't even imagine. I definitely knew how to succeed, so if he was wondering whether I would be successful at Claremont, this was nothing for me. I was almost crying as I had never talked about that part of my life, nor its impact on how I learned and why I learned. But the more I talked, the more strength I gained. I told him about how I had raised my children, how I'd had a successful career, and now it was time for me to complete my PhD. And I assured him that if he would just allow me to enter this program, that I would graduate. And he smiled, and he looked at me, and barely speaking above a whisper, he said to me, I know you will. I know you will. That one affirming sentence, I know you will, meant more to me in that moment than I can ever describe. While I always knew that if given the chance, I could do it, there was no doubt in my mind, but I wasn't sure that other people could see that can-do spirit within me. To me, CGU was a foreign place, and I was an outsider. CGU would have to be able to look outside its walls to see me. And in that moment, Dr. Drew was CGU, and he was outward facing, and he was seeing me. I was admitted to CGU. I graduated, and I have remained connected to this great university through its ups and its downs for almost 3 decades. So, Dr. Jessup, my story is only one of many. And as you lead CGU on this outward-facing journey, you will hear so many more stories. And CGU will become known as that place that says to that student, that graduate, this community, this world, I know you can. I know you will. Now is the time, and Claremont Graduate University is the place. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Willingham-Toure. So in 1997, which was just 1 year after Dr. Willingham-Toure defended her PhD, the Keck Graduate Institute, or KGI, just as a heads up, you're going to get used to a lot of letters and abbreviations because that's what we like to do here, was born. The 7th C or college, of the Claremont Colleges to join its sister institution, CGU, focusing on graduate education. Dr. Sheldon Schuster became president of KGI in 2003, making him today the longest-serving president of the Seven Seas and at the youngest institution of the Seven Seas. He also serves as chair of the President's Council for the Claremont Colleges. Under President Schuster's tenure, KGI has robustly expanded its research, its reach, its programs, and its resources. President Schuster received his PhD in biochemistry from the University of Arizona, like Dr. Len Jessup, the Arizona part, not the biochemistry part. He is recognized as an international expert in enzyme biochemistry, specifically in understanding how to use that biochemistry to target disease. He has held biochemistry and molecular biology professorships at the University of Nebraska and at the University of Florida, where he has also held a number of administrative posts, including director of the biotechnology program and interim assistant vice president of research and graduate education. Schuster also holds the high honor of being recognized as a fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Science. I would now like to ask President Sheldon Schuster, decorated scholar and president of our sister school, to share his voice.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Andrew, for that kind introduction, especially the part where you didn't say just that I was the longest-serving president, but also the oldest. Your kindness is much appreciated. But it is an honor and a pleasure to be here today, not only as a president of your sister graduate institution, KGI, but more importantly, to represent the Council of Presidents of the Claremont Colleges. It is a privilege to welcome Len and Christy to our community. It is also an opportunity to hear the perspective of history from the youngest and smallest institution and from our little view across as a co-graduate institution. As we know, and as we heard eloquently stated by Dr. Goode, nearly a century ago, President Blaisdell articulated the vision that society was going to undergo vast changes in the future, changes both immense and unimaginable. He proposed that in order to lead in the world of higher education, schools must strive to overcome institutional inertia and remain relevant to the forces of what would be current technologies and events. For that to occur in colleges, we needed to form, in our little village of Claremont, a closely allied, interactive, and cooperative association of small, independent institutions of higher education that were designed from their origins to fulfill important and transformative needs in society. He sagely predicted the value of a tension between independence and collaboration. Pomona College was obviously only the first institution until the formation of Scripps College and Claremont Graduate University, who we're celebrating today. Indeed, by continually proving its value and reproving it over and over again, CGU is at the very heart of our shared concept, and it was and remains central to our success. The model for which CGU is a leader and innovator has undergone numerous changes and has, in every case, responded with unrelenting regard to our values of collaboration, sharing, and goodwill, and no matter what else, the benefit to our students. After the consortium had its earliest successes, and I speak editorially, we responded to the challenges of our society at critical times in our more recent past. The formations of Claremont Men's College, the predecessor of Claremont McKenna College, Harvey Mudd College, and Pitzer College were all in response to monumentous historical challenges, and they were and remain extraordinary examples of both our shared values and their independent relevance and success. We have all grown from those early days. We have innovated, and we have been recognized globally as the benchmark for engaged teaching and learning and for our commitment to our students. But in addition to our ongoing concerns and current challenges, as a community, we continually strive to explore what new forces in society will require that new structure. Indeed, I would not be here today if it were not for the vision and collaborative spirit that enabled the formation of Keck Graduate Institute, born as a result of the need to bridge the advances in the biological sciences of the 21st century with both business and healthcare delivery. And it would shortchange history if I did not highlight our unique bond and debt to CGU. As we were formed, it became clear that the structure the consortium needed to change in order to accommodate this young upstart of an institution. Indeed, it required that CGU no longer be the consortium in addition to the graduate university, and it needed to stand alone financially and academically. Together, KGI and CGU entered the rarefied world of graduate education that was not subsidized by undergraduate activities, forcing innovation and creativity unprecedented in graduate education. And I would argue here today that CGU has succeeded spectacularly. We owe you a great debt. We will not forget that before we were even accredited, KGI gave degrees through CGU. In many ways, you incubated KGI, and we thank you sincerely. The efficiencies inherent in the model of a highly cooperative consortium are easily appreciated. What is often not understood is the fundamental importance of institutional independence and friendly competition preordained by having all 7 schools as self-governing, separate corporations. We can invent and be creative much more rapidly and with a diversity of perspectives not often seen in other models of higher education. Of course, there is a cost, well illustrated by the locally, I believe, well appreciated fact that we have more college presidents in Claremont than either plumbers or house painters. But with our shared history and our common values, we welcome you to our community. We look forward to getting to know you as a partner in building the best educational consortium in the world. Welcome and best wishes.
Tom Hsieh received his executive MBA in 2004 from the Drucker School of Management at CGU. And he has an undergraduate degree from another Claremont college, Harvey Mudd. He is the founder and CEO of Splinter Rock, a technology consulting company. And prior to founding Splinter Rock, some of you might remember the company Earthlink, where he served for more than 10 years, including during its early startup phase. Tom shines brightly on the world by giving back. Tom and his wife, Bree, are committed to living modestly in order to donate the rest of their income to nonprofit and civic efforts. Tom has taught throughout the United States and Canada on economic justice, and he is a spokesperson for Boulder Giving, a Gates-funded organization that challenges people of wealth to give 50% or more of their wealth away. Tom gives back to the community not only with his money, but with his time, his energy, and his leadership. He was the founding president of the board of Pomona Hope, the president of Pomona Community Foundation, and he chairs the Economic Development Initiative for Pomona's Promise. He's also served on the board of the LA County Fair Association and currently serves on the Learning Centers at Fairplex Board, the Drucker School Industry Advisory Board, the the San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership, and Intervalley Health Plan. We are grateful that Tom has offered words to give to us today during the celebration, and I would now like to ask him to please come to the stage.
Well, thank you, Professor Vasco. Back in 2002, when I was a tech executive at Earthlink, with a degree in physics from Harvey Mudd, having helped grow the startup into a $1.5 billion publicly traded company, and acting as VP of engineering, finding myself overseeing 450 network and software engineers and a budget in the hundreds of millions of dollars, I thought I could use some more formal development in the practice of management. What first drew me to consider CGU was Peter Drucker's philosophy about the social responsibility of management in impacting society. When I heard that CGU had been the home of the father of modern management theory for many years, I thought, well, if CGU was good enough for Peter Drucker, it's definitely good enough for me. I arrived at the school after Professor Drucker had stopped teaching regular courses, but was only giving special lectures. but I learned from his many colleagues and still felt his presence on campus. But not only did I enjoy working with and learning from the many excellent professors, I also enjoyed working with and learning from such a great cohort of fellow students. When you belong to a smaller academic community like ours, everyone's like family. And that's how I felt. The Drucker philosophy that I soaked in and absorbed during my time here at Drucker not only gave me the tools to be impactful in a number of different sectors, it gave me a framework to understand my responsibility to be impactful in society as a whole. This year, our university is 93 years old, the oldest all-graduate university in the country. Our campus is comprised of 19 acres of tree-filled Southern California real estate with 2,200 enrolled students, a median class size of 9. Today, CGU is known for its specialized, recognized programs, a commitment to cultural and intellectual diversity, collaborative, cross-discipline learning, personalized programs, and practice-based learning. But today, CGU is more than what you might find here on the campus at Claremont, California. Because CGU also includes an extensive network of alumni. 22,000 CGU alumni worldwide, making an impact, being agents of change in the world. And today, together with that extensive worldwide network and all of us here, we are CGU. And as a proud member of the CGU community, I am honored to be here today. President Jessup, we look forward to your leadership and building CGU's bright future together. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Jeanne Holm seems to shine with boundless energy. She is a leader in open data, education, community building, and civic innovation. Jeanne is the Deputy CIO, Assistant General Manager, and Senior Technology Advisor to the Mayor for the City of Los Angeles. She founded the Data Science Federation to solve the city's big challenges using data-driven approaches, and as the former evangelist for data.gov for the Executive Office of President Obama in the US White House, Jeanne led collaboration and built communities using open government data. Jeanne has been a senior consultant with the World Bank. She was the chief knowledge architect at NASA. She is a distinguished instructor at UCLA. She is a fellow of the United Nations International Academy of Astronautics. And in her loads of spare time, she directs 2 startups and has written more than 130 publications. She holds a master's degree from CGU's Center for Information Systems and Technology and is currently completing her PhD there as well. Jeanne's honors are numerous, including multiple honors from NASA. She received the Woman of the Decade Award from the Women's Economic Forum and 3 Webbies from the International Academy of Digital Arts and Sciences, to just name a few. Jeanne Holm, please give me some of your energy. But in seriousness, please come to the stage and share some of that energy with us.
So I'm honored to be here today and to represent the thousands and thousands of proud Claremont Graduate University students who welcome Dr. Len Jessup as our new president to carry our flame forward. Len, today you step up and to lead and build on the legacy of those who've come before you. And I just want to say that 22,000 of us, we're watching you, okay? With a world-class faculty and staff from all walks of life, and with a hugely diverse group of students, you might think it's hard to find the things that bind us together and set CGU apart from other universities. Some will say it's because we're a unique graduate research institution. Some will point to our interdisciplinary programs. But I believe that our uniqueness is that CGU students move forward in the world representing the values that we have been taught. We have learned to be kind, generous, curious, and brave. And our flame is lit with these beacons of hope. So we learn to be kind. And I think Gloria's example is exactly the kind of kindness that is exemplified here at CGU every single day. We come from a huge diversity of backgrounds from nearly every country in the world. And the interdisciplinary nature of CGU means that we interact daily with students from every walk of life. It means we need to open our minds and our hearts to new ideas, new cultures, new perspectives. And our way and our traditions are not the only approach, and in fact may not be the best approach. Len's first actions as president modeled this very behavior by going on a listening tour, not to dictate this will be our new direction at CGU, but to co-create one based on considering other people's points of view. He speaks from a place of service, which has been a hallmark of CGU graduates' work. Our kindness shows up in our commitment to those who are more vulnerable, who just need a hand, or who need us to transform government, industry, and academia to be more inclusive and supportive of every single person on the planet. We learn to be generous. Len has mentioned that he believes in a world of abundance, and so do I. In such a world, we do not have to be defined by haves and have-nots. In our world, knowledge is the coin of the realm, and when we spend this, we are not poorer, but richer. Our knowledge begets new ideas, new research directions, new enthusiasts. I wonder if this shared value is because Len and I share common mentors, Dr. Lauren Olfman and the late Dr. Paul Gray from the Center for Information Systems and Technology here at CGU. When I was a student and later in my career, Paul and Lauren were always generous with their time and knowledge. I wasn't only taught how to design information systems and manage data, I was taught how to help others be empowered to excel as well. Here at CGU, we learn to be curious. The hallmark of a CGU education is the ability to ask, try, fail, and succeed. To learn by doing and not just by discussing. We are a university that acts, that brings the change in our community, our society, and our world. CGU alumni can not only do what we have because we've been encouraged to be curious. In my interdisciplinary work with Peter Drucker, he would constantly challenge me, why? Why, Jeanne, do you think that's true? Why do you think that's the rule? And he would never tell me the answer. He would lead me to be curious and break through the barriers that held me back. And each CGU professor, whether we're learning database structures or public-private partnerships, instilled in all of us a sense of curiosity and confidence to pursue our crazy ideas. And we learn, most importantly, to be brave. We're all about taking risks with those crazy ideas, trying new things, learning new approaches, challenging our own entrenched ideas. Bravery, as we know, is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. My classmates went on to create life-saving medical innovations, reinvent government, change the way technologies connect people, and transform our understanding of the human mind. CGU carried me forward from NASA to the City of Los Angeles to the World Bank to the White House, only because I learned here to be brave. Whether I was challenging 175 government agencies to open up data for transparency and innovation for President Obama, or I was working in Sierra Leone during the Ebola outbreak to find ways to stem the spread of the disease. This was only possible because I was given those tools of generosity, curiosity, and kindness to understand my fear and others' fear and figure how to forge a path through. Kindness, generosity, curiosity, and bravery. The beacons of hope that light the flame of every CGU graduate. These are the values, Len, that I sense you bringing forward and leading us into the future. Our actions together will continue to change the world. Len, carry our flame, and we will carry you in our hearts. On behalf of the graduates of CGU, I know we are in good hands with you.
Thank you, Jeanne. There is a promise of CGU, and that promise is a notion that we carry with us, we nurture, and we will pass on the experiences that help us and others to thrive in this world. The promise of carrying the flame forward. Our elected Graduate Student Council President, CGU Drucker School alumna, PhD student in political science and public policy, my colleague, Whitney Martinez, carries that flame forward. Whitney works to create positive change through her research using both economic and public policy to combat structural barriers to the underserved and marginalized. She has both undergraduate and graduate degrees in political science from the University at Albany, including a graduate certificate in women in public policy. Whitney has provided research and analytical support for the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Service, She was selected as the minority leader during the model legislative session at the New York State Senate and served in the University at Albany's Office of Conflict Resolution. In each of these roles, she has worked to increase transparency, efficiency, and accountability. And as a talented artist, cue the music, Whitney also fuses her passion for the performing arts with her public policy and business research to create meaningful impact. Whitney's commitment to academic and professional rigor, her dedication to public service, and her infectious enthusiasm make her a powerful global citizen and agent of change. I would now like to invite Whitney Martinez up to share with us that flame.
Welcome to you all. And hello, Claremont. Give it up for yourselves. Yes. This afternoon, we are among trailblazers, world leaders, aspiring activists, and just some plain old academic thrill seekers, I suppose. It is with great joy that I share in the Claremont spirit of hope, humility, and honor, and unity with you all on this special day. The distinction between creativity and innovation is focus. Creativity is about unleashing the potential of the mind to conceive new ideas, while innovation is about introducing change and the work required to make an idea viable. Claremont has given me the space to manifest both. 4 years ago, I moved from New York City to Claremont, and the resource-filled university consortium, coupled with the intimate academic campus setting, offset my visual adjustment to suburban mountain views from the urban city skyline. From being a research assistant to renowned professors, to event planning with Hagel Burgers for Taco Tuesday, to starting one of the first 7 seawide organizations, Phenomenal Voices LA, the ends are secondary to the means. The process of getting to know the students, faculty, and staff that I learn with and work for are the reasons that I love this place. Collaborating with Claremont Gems for research creation and resource innovation have added meaning and adventure to my life as a student leader and doctoral student. John Quincy Adams once said, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader." Today we convene to commemorate a highly anticipated and historic moment sure to shape the fabric of Claremont for us individually, communally, and institutionally, and has the ability to propel the ignition of our flame on the world map forward. And so one more time for the record, thank you all for being here for CGU's presidential installation for Dr. Len Jessup. What we've created, are creating, and will create, then and before, here and now, later and ahead, impacts the direction of student research, faculty enterprise, and the ripeness of the soil for our domestic and international voices. The world within reach starts here with Claremont's curious creators. To attain and maintain the fluttering of our flame, we are called to convene, congregate, and cross swords to cultivate comprehension and create change. We are called to champion each other, to focus our efforts on continuous improvement. We are called to be responsible for holding each other accountable to a consensually high standard of execution. We must remember that success is the sum of small efforts which are repeated day in and day out, and thus we hold steadfastly to our vision and rise together. The Graduate Student Council, thank you. The Graduate Student Council has had the privilege of working with President Len Jessup over the past 3 months. And his support for our vision has drawn us closer to our goals of collaboration and transparency. Creating a campus culture of connectivity requires authentic leadership, which we've witnessed firsthand working with him. He is supportive and invested in the well-being of all CGU students. He even joined in on the fun of lighting the torch during our Light the Flame opening event. Best of all, he is calm, approachable, and I look forward to his continued leadership and future collaborations. The GSC is a platform for our voices to be heard and applied, and the establishment of our Alumni Association, the first university meeting I attended with President Jessup, is a testament of just that. The future of CGU, and how much others believe in that future, lies in our ability to convey our uniqueness as a unified body of creators, where we highlight our commonalities and operationalize the execution of our goals in a succinct and holistic plan. Change is not made in isolation. We can redefine and re-energize our goal to move forward and engage enthusiastically, focus on empowerment over intervention, inclusion over isolation, understanding over condemnation. And with this approach, we lead to engage and listen to understand. This positions us to venture out with a complete toolkit to inspire others and help to change the world. By being connected, we can innovate, create, navigate, encourage, inspire, listen actively, love unconditionally, and create the space for the change we want to become globally. It all starts with us. The culture we cultivate at and in Claremont, this new trajectory we're on, the soil is ripe, and CGU's time to create a globally recognized brand with the culture we embrace from within. It begins with the culture in which we embrace from within, as a collective. The question on the floor is, will you be a contributor or a spectator? We at the GSC and CGU look forward to your involvement. So CGU Flames, enjoy, and remember, when you find yourself in positions of power, I encourage you to empower those to join us in our efforts of carrying the flame forward. Congratulations, President Len Jessup. Peace unto you all. Thank you.
Whitney, this is the second time I followed you onto the stage. It's not getting any easier, I gotta tell you. Wow. Thank you. For some universities, the search for a president can take a long time. Our university has been very fortunate. Early in our search process, one candidate stood clearly above the rest, Len Jessup. Dr. Jessup, will you please come forward so that I may invest you with the presidential medallion? The use of the medallion and chains dates back.
What?
The chains part? We're going to call it chains of responsibility. It's a sign of high office, and our medallion has been cast with our university seal and our motto, Multa Lumina Lux Una. Dr. Jessup, as the chair of the Board of Trustees, we've chosen you to be the president of our university. You're recognized as an outstanding member of higher education. We're excited about our future together, Len. Very excited about that. And I would like to now present you with the chain and the medallion. I'll put you right here. Our 12th president of Claremont Graduate University. Len Jessup.
Thank you for that. It scared me a little bit. I wasn't sure what was coming. But let me just say first some thank yous. I'm going to promise to keep this succinct. But Tim, thanks to you and the board, our board members who are here, both present and past, for bringing me to Claremont Graduate University. Incredible opportunity for Christy and I. We're really happy to be here. What do you think about the speakers that came? What do you think? How about a round of applause for everyone? Wow. Thanks to all of them for coming and for speaking, and to all the staff that organized the event, and to our facilities crew for keeping the podium, these flags flying. Best line of the day, though, I think goes to Shelley. I have to use your line. More presidents in Claremont than plumbers or painters. I think that was, if I remember right. Perfect. And I want to thank also my fellow presidents in the Claremont Consortium and Stieg and our other presidents who are here in the region, and to guests that have come over from Las Vegas and Bloomington, Indiana, and other places to be here with me today. Thanks to all of you for being here today. We decided to keep this kind of on the down low, if you will. Just no cap and gown. We didn't want to do a lot of pomp and circumstance, and just make this more of a community gathering, a kind of town and gown gathering. And I know I'm the only thing between us and really good food from Chef Bernadette just right across the way, so I'll speed it up. I do want to say a quick thank you also to John Mcguire, who recently passed, into the Mcguire family. I've talked about the classic, the quote attributed to Isaac Newton, standing on the shoulders of giants. He and I, fortunately, when I got here this summer, got to have a nice long lunch together and a good long talk. And then I was able to see him a number of other times throughout the 4.5 months that we've been here in the job. And just for all of us, I'm sure, our hearts go out to the family and to his daughter. You talk about standing on the shoulder of giants and a president who had tremendous impact on this institution. I'm just very fortunate that I got to spend some time with him. Well, Christy and I arrived in early June, and we're thrilled to be in Claremont, city of trees and PhDs, and living in the old home just a block over. Beautiful, beautiful old home. And we're opening up now for events. We'd like to have everyone over, maybe not all at once. Well, kind of by sections. But we're loving it here. I thought what I would do is I'm going to tell a quick story, and then I've just got a couple of things to say based on it. I think this might be probably the best way to say a little bit about who I am. I'm going to ask forgiveness from my UNLV friends. You've probably heard this story before, an old baseball story. I like to tell stories. They're often baseball stories. They can fact check this to see if I've told the story the same way the second time. I grew up Italian immigrants on both sides of the family. Grew up in the Bay Area, and first one to go to college in my family. And I went to just play baseball to a little junior college in Northern California, College of the Siskiyous, if you've heard of that, in Weed, California. Not what you think. Named after Abner Weed, was the mayor of Weed long ago. So that was my big break, to get to go play baseball for a couple of years. And I learned a lot being there, and learned a lot from sports in general, but especially those 2 years. The anecdote that I want to share that you, Arlen and Diane and Jeanne, have heard is that I got to play in every game. I wasn't the best at baseball, but some days I started, some days I was brought in special situations, but I got to play a lot. One afternoon, we were on an away game, and we were against a really good team and an incredible pitcher. And the pitcher was just dominating our lineup. We could not get anyone on base. We couldn't score. Our pitcher was actually also Robert Atterbury. Remember, was having a good day as well. The other team had 1 or 2 runs. So our pitcher was doing a fairly good job, but we just could not get anything going against this pitcher. No offense. And so, as the coach often did, Coach Dennis DeRoss, at some point late in the game, I think their pitcher started to get tired. And so he walked one of our batters, and so we finally got somebody on first base. Here we go. We're getting a little rally going. And I was sort of the team's utility player. I'd do a little bit of this, a little bit. I'd go in when they needed me. I was a good tutor for math. I could do everything. I just helped out wherever I could. This was one of those days where the coach kind of calls on me to go in the game and take the place of that player that had just got walked, and he was on first base. I could run. I had one skill that I was good at. I could run pretty fast. So he put me in this, right toward the end of this game to try to make something happen. So you have to imagine, that I'm running in the space of about 10 seconds from the bench to first base. And I'm not warmed up or anything, and I'm starting to hyperventilate. And I'm like, oh my, okay, here we go. I've got to do something. So our coach is over on the third base line. He's the third base coach, so he's kind of directing traffic if anyone should happen to get on base. And there I was, and I'm looking over at him, and I'm thinking, all right, here we go. He's going to start to give me the signs. And for the baseball aficionados, you know how it works is the third base coach will either look at his batter, or if a runner's on base, start doing the signs and tapping and the bill of the hat and all over the body. And then before every game, you're told what the indicator sign is. And so that day, let's say, for example, it was the belt. And he would tap, 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 bill of the hat. And I would have to watch for him to touch the belt, the indicator. And then I knew whatever he touched next was going to be the sign. So maybe to steal would be the leg. So he's giving me all the signals, and I'm on first base, and I'm nervous. And I can't tell. He's going too fast. I get so flustered, I can't even remember what the indicator sign is. And he's tap, 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 tap. And he'd look, And I look from first base back over to Coach DeRoss, and I'm kind of like, And so he goes through tap, 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 tapping again, more vehemently, and I'm looking, and he's, And again, I don't know. So I had that moment, the existential moment, as much as it can be for a baseball player, where I just thought to myself, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Here's the deal. We are losing this game. So I have got to do something. So I'm going through in my mind, for the scientists in the audience, I'm going through my version of type 1 versus type 2 error. Maybe he's giving me the sign, and then if I don't do something, but if he's not giving me the sign and then I do it, how mad is he going to be? And I finally just said, it doesn't matter. I've got to do something. We are not going to win unless I do something. And so on the next pitch, I take off and I just steal second base. And I decide I'm going to go for it. I have to do something to just sort of make something happen and get a little offense going. So at that point, I think the pitcher and the catcher are so flustered. The pitcher had just walked somebody. The catcher don't know what's going on with this crazy guy in first base. He's now stealing second. The catcher throws the ball down to second base, and it's an errant throw that goes by. So I did I could run, and I slide in and pop back up, and I'm like, that ball is 4 or 5 feet away from second base. I can steal third. So I keep going. I steal third base. I successfully stole third base. So now I'm on third base, standing 2 feet away from my coach. But we have the opposing team's third baseman and the opposing team's dugouts right there. So he can't say anything to me because they can hear everything. He's just looking at me, shaking his head. Got a smile, shaking his head. So I knew that, okay, that wasn't what he was signaling. And by now, the pitcher is so flummoxed, he pitches and throws a pass ball, which is just a few feet away from the catcher, and I decide I'm going for it. So I stole home, successfully stole home. So I was able to manufacture offense out of thin air, just because I couldn't remember the indicator signal. It all worked out. So I learned many, many lessons in sports. That's just one. But that was an important lesson for me. Those are the kinds of moments in life that I think have caused me to be optimistic, or maybe I was before, I don't know. But I tend to be more optimistic, definitely more entrepreneurial. And I learned that sometimes in what seems to be dire straits, or certainly not a good situation, being down like we were in that game, that sometimes you've just got to make things happen. And you've got to create things at times, seemingly out of nothing, to make things happen. It's been who I am throughout my academic career and in the leadership positions that I'm in. And it was one of the things that attracted me so much to Claremont Graduate University. I think of CGU as that nimble, creative, entrepreneurial kind of university that I want to be associated with. And I feel that I am and that I want to be associated with. I've been in jobs where I've had to manage large organizations, for example, back at UNLV, where sometimes it felt like turning a battleship, or maybe even a whole battle group, just to try to get something done, to get something changed. And here it's different. We are nimble and creative and externally facing, and it's an entrepreneurial, and it's great to be here and to be a part of it. We did spend the first 100 days at Plus, who's counting, on a listening tour, and I got to meet people on campus, on the other campuses, in the community, met with the mayor and the city manager. Jennifer and I went on a Heritage Society walk around the campuses early on when I got here in the summer, and then kind of radiating out with alumni and donors and board members throughout Southern California. Last week out to New York and Washington, D.C., and then in the spring we'll be out visiting alumni in Asia. I learned a lot from listening to people, And the only thing I wanted to share from that is not so much the content of what I learned from people, but more the emotion that I felt, the feelings that I could sense among the people that I spoke with. And there clearly is, both on campus and off, a sense of excitement around CGU, a sense of optimism, a sense that we've had pretty good days and things are pretty good now, but we have better days ahead, that the best days are yet to come. And I met a lot of people off campus and on the other campuses that are very anxious to partner with us and to work with us on this journey. And that is very exciting. From that, you can start to see, if you sort of think ahead and what a future CGU looks like, that is definitely starting to emerge, I think, for all of us. And as I look down the road, and not just 20 years or 10 or even think 7 years ahead, in 7 years, this university will be celebrating its centennial. Think about that. Think about James Blaisdell, 1925, Pomona starting to do graduate work and decides maybe we ought to put that out and let it do it on its own. And so the precursor to CGU was created in 1925. In 7 years, we'll hit the 100-year mark from that beginning for this institution. And I just think ahead 7 years at the rate of progress and development for all of these institutions, what it might look like then. And as I look ahead, I see a CGU that is still focused, fundamentally on an excellent student experience, great student outcomes, but maybe with now the right balance around a blended learning experience, taking advantage of all the things that technology does for us in terms of its impact on teaching and learning. I think I definitely see a university that still pursues excellence, that it's about quality and about each of the things that we do, them being the best in class in the field that they're in. I definitely see that still being there. And definitely with the strands around transdisciplinarity and around applied teaching and learning. And I think those have been hallmarks and are still be there as we go forward. I like to think of it as both the students and the faculty. Transdisciplinarity to me, for both students and faculty, is about learning without limits, learning without borders, learning without boundaries. I think that definitely still has to be there. I definitely see in the DNA for us going forward the servant leadership model that speakers spoke of, and Jeanne highlighted in particular. Service to others, serving groups that are disadvantaged or vulnerable or challenged, underserved. I think that is in the DNA now. It needs to be going forward for sure. I see us being even more externally facing than we are now. A great partner within the consortium and a great partner around the region, if not around the country and the world. I think about what happened recently with the voting. You might have read about some voters being disenfranchised in North Dakota because they didn't have addresses. We had a team of faculty in a couple of different areas of our university. Jeanne, and I think it was Brian, head of information systems, used the geographic information systems techniques from the information systems school. They did a mapping of that reservation to be able to assign addresses so that those people could vote. That actually was all set up. There was a challenge to it. The state attorney general decides, oh, these are legit addresses. They're going to vote. That happened. That was made possible by a couple of faculty here at CGU. So we need to do more. It's a great example. It's a great example, transdisciplinary, applied, service to others, impact on others, real world impact. And I see us doing even more of that to be successful at CGU going forward. The universities around the country that are struggling right now, and some are going bankrupt, tend to be universities that are insular. They're looking inward. They're talking to each other. They're not talking externally to stakeholders about what their needs are and how the services can be better provided. So I definitely see a strong, externally facing, problem-solving CGU going forward. And there are some incredible opportunities for us. I just mentioned two quickly. Stieg and the presidents, the consortium's talking about moving the bookstore services out to another location. They've asked if we would like to take over the Huntley bookstore. I can see the little courtyard behind it right there. And we've agreed that we will do that in about 15 months or so. That we'll step in, and we would like to have that building and to preserve it. It's a great design. We'll do a little renovations. We're now starting to dream about what we might do in that building. One idea that's emerged that I think is really compelling. If you like the idea, I give credit to Patricia for the idea. If you don't like it, it's my idea. it's to put our School of Community and Global Health is off campus. This would be the great opportunity to move them on campus as the anchor tenant. And we do so much around CGU, around health and well-being, and then to invite other faculty in those areas if they would like to collaborate in that space, to have it be a space around health and well-being from a transdisciplinary point of view. And it's a great high demand area. It's just a perfect opportunity for us. We've also got just north of the business school on the lot on Dartmouth, the empty lot. That's also a kind of a blank canvas opportunity for us. We're starting to brainstorm about what to do with it. The business school has some things around entrepreneurship and family and small business, and that things kind of entrepreneurial in nature they'd like to have over there. They collaborate with our faculty from arts and humanities around the Sotheby's program and the Getty Leadership program. So there's already those kinds of collaborations, and we thought, well, that might be a nice place for the creative sides of Drucker to join with the creative practices from the arts and humanities. So we're thinking more about what might happen with that space as well. But these are incredible opportunities. Now, both of those are going to be a heavy lift. We're not kidding ourselves. I'm thinking of the JFK quote, whether it was him or Ted Sorensen, whoever wrote the line, but it was the Rice University speech. We do these things because they're hard. It's not because they're easy, because they are hard. But these are things that I think that we can do here. That would take transdisciplinarity to a whole different level for us, and I think would be very impactful. So for all of these things going forward, we're going to need your help. Several of the speakers mentioned it, and I'm going to underscore that. We need your help, everyone in this room, and especially our alumni, both here and I know that are listening on the web stream. This place is worth investing in, and we're going to need your investment, both time, treasure, and talent. That's why we decided that this would not just be a presidential installation, but this is really a community event, a town and gown event. We need all of you working together, like Tim said. Multa lumina lux una. Many flames, one light. And that's the kind of collective action that we need for CGU going forward. All of us carrying the flame forward together. And let me just close by saying, and I'll try not to get emotional, I'm driven by debts that I'm repaying. My family, like I mentioned, Italian immigrants, dad's side from Venice. And as the mayor and I said, the real name is Jessup, not Jessup. That got changed when that side of the family came through. I won't tell you how I got my first name. He knows. He can tell you later. My mom's side from Sicily, southern Italy, oil and water. The two families did not get along at all. They come to New York, it's too cold, so then they go to San Francisco. That's weather more like what they were used to. My mom and dad were born, and then, so on and so forth. I had grandparents that made sacrifices in the late 1800s, leaving very oppressive conditions in Italy, to eventually land in San Francisco, making, sacrifices and changes for kids and grandkids that they didn't even have yet, right? They were doing it for me. They didn't even know me. I wasn't even born yet. My mom and dad weren't born yet. So I'm paying that debt back. And then I had the baseball opportunity actually got me into higher ed. I wouldn't have gone otherwise if it wasn't just to play baseball for a couple of years. Quickly figured out I did a lot better in the classroom than I did on the ball field. And I just kept going to school, kept getting those nudges along the way. And so I've devoted my career to higher ed, paying that debt back. I'm paying debts back in the past by paying it forward. There's a quote, one last thing, by Neil Armstrong, that I'll leave it on this. I think it also sums up a lot about my philosophy about life. And the technical quote was, "I believe every human being has a finite number of heartbeats. I don't intend to waste any of mine." So think about that, prophetic words from an astronaut. I believe every human being has a finite number of heartbeats, and I don't intend to waste any of mine. That upon some background reading, Josh would appreciate this. The background around that quote was it actually was a smart aleck quote, and it went more like, this was later in life, and somebody had asked him, "Well, you just look great, and how do you stay in shape? Do you jog? Or do you, what do you do?" And he actually said technically something like, each one of us is on the earth with a finite number of beats in our hearts, and I'll be damned if I'm going to waste mine running up and down the damn street. It was kind of how the quote went. To be accurate, that was how that went. But, I prefer to accept the more serious interpretation of the quote, and just to say that let's not waste them. Let's work together. Let's take to heart the university's motto. Let's work together to do things that improve our lives and the lives of others. Let's do that together. And if you can just channel even a little smidge of that effort, that collective effort towards CGU, then I know that we're going to be fine. I look forward to building CGU's successful future with all of you. So let's carry the flame forward together. Thank you.